Pat Cox at 4-0, of course he is, against Clint Gouldner. Pat, we're going to get some archetypes in a bit, but shockingly enough, Clint, the clue, is in that first land. What do you think he's playing, Corey?
So Mono Green Tron has picked up in popularity a lot. I think it's actually a lot better than I would have ever guessed. I think Mono Green Tron's really strong, but Eldrazi Tron's my usual assumption when I say that. Urza's Tron, get 7 mana, try to cast Karn, Wormcoil Engine. In the case of Eldrazi Tron, we're also trying to power out things like Thought Knot Seer with Mana Reshapers and Endbringers. Just a bunch of very sweet value creatures up the curves, even when they don't happen to have Tron. Ooh, looks like Black-Green Tron. I'm a fan of Black-Green Tron also.
Okay, so Pat Cox has already cycled a pair of Street Wraiths to go down to 16. We have Ancient Stirrings, and we're going to see an Expedition map.
It's a great find there for Clint, as that's pretty much going to clinch him having turn 4 Tron here. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult for him to not have a second piece of Tron in his hand at this point, and then the map will go find the third one. So Pat's going to be hopefully having a Stubborn Denial here to counter it for his sake. Otherwise, he's going to be need to get a clock on.
And there it is, Stubborn Denial for the Expedition map. And yes, Pat Cox, question comes from Splinter Twin in the chat. Pat is playing Shadow, Death Shadow. At this point, I was peering at his hand, trying to work out now what version of Death Shadow is this, and it is a Grixis thing. Time in the round has just been called. So my guess is we're going to get through all of this match in the company of Corey here. Do you know how close I nearly said Corey Baumeister right then? Oh my God.
I had someone introduce themselves and try to talk to me at GP Portland.
Will you sign my playmat?
Baumeister.
Oh
Baumeister. You're Corey Baumeister. And I was like, man, brutal. Now I'm the second best Corey by a lot too, as Baumeister's just been killing it. He's been playing so well.
Yeah. Do you actually call Glorybringer Coreybringer?
No, I've never heard that one before.
Oh yeah, I stuck that on Twitter at the last tournament. I just like if the two of you were just like, and tap 5, and this will be the Coreybringer. Back to the focus, Rich. Focus on the match. That's what they want.
Ooh, what is that shiny piece of art?
So that, because Pat's going to read that as well. That's an Oblivion Stone.
Okay.
That is very pretty.
That is a beautiful piece of art.
It is. Don't hold your breath. It may not be there for very long.
Is it going to Kolaghan's Command?
I think that might be in its future.
That's rough. Pat also milled over a Death Shadow there with his Thoughtscour, so if he does manage to find a Kolaghan's Command here, he's going to get to shatter the artifact and buy back the creature, as we say. And Death Shadow's going to put on a pretty quick clock on Clint, as Pat's already knocked himself down to 8 points of life here.
Ayami OP says, hang on a second, whoa, second best Corey? What about that dude at my LGS? So
he's probably got me one, maybe third.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we settle this? Let's say you're in the top 5, and then that gives a little bit of headroom.
Well, then we're safe. Then we're very safe.
I would think so.
All right. Yeah. Top 5.
Top 5 Corys.
We can definitely say top 10. Ooh, and a Kolaghan's Command.
Yeah. So bye Oblivion Stone. Hello Death Shadow. Pat at 8, which means that Death Shadow is a notional 5/5 right now.
Yeah, getting that map Stubborn Denial there on turn 2 off the Stirrings. Really coming back to bite Clint here, is sitting on that Wormcoil in hand. Now he has 2 mines, a tower, and a Blooming Marsh. And it's just 2 mana sources away here of getting a 6/6 worm out.
Mm-hmm. So Pat, with 2 mana, will go back to Thoughtscour, and we'll see a Terminate and a Fatal Push. Well, okay, fair enough. Not a disaster. They're not doing much at the moment.
I was going to say, I assume Pat will be pretty happy deploying a 5/5 here.
Yeah. And here's another lovely, shiny Oblivion Stone.
I love Clint's taste. This is great.
But he really needs that to stick, doesn't he? That Oblivion Stone.
Yeah, needs that to stick, and probably needs an untapped mana source here. Like, drawing another Blossoming Marsh would be pretty disastrous. Thankfully, Pat's only hitting him for 5 here. It's unlikely that... Oh, gosh. Oh, yuck. The Shatter discard, get your Wormcoil Engine, get your Oblivion Stone.
Ow. Yeah, so Pat now in great shape. Now, here is an Expedition, Matt. Remember, the first one got countered earlier on by Stubborn Denial from Pat Cox.
All right, so Clint's really enabled most of his deck here. He's got a bunch of good top decks now. Basically needs Pat to not have a copy of like Stubborn Denial or Snapcaster Mage for a number of those scenarios to work out.
Sure.
As Ugin, Karn... I mean, even another Oblivion Stone here is pretty great. I mean, what you'd really want to draw is Ulamog.
Yes.
Exile your Death Shadow, exile your Steam Vents.
Oh. Yeah, see, that's just not nice. Let's see what happens. Because Clint has been punched around a bit more by Death Shadow. Down to 10. Takes a look. And says...
Another map.
There's the map. Okay, that was expedition map number 3. Apparently you're not top 5.
Oh, man.
Corey Dillon, Corey Dillon, Corey Dillon, Corey Dillon, and Corey Feldman.
Wow.
Apparently it's pronounced Dylon. Is it really? Is it actually really? Everyone's a critic. All right, so here's the Snapcaster Mage.
7-ball corner pocket, another Death Shadow.
7-ball corner pocket. I'm going to steal that one.
You're more than welcome to.
Thank you. I like that. My best Burkhardt impression. 7-ball corner pocket. Pat Cox takes it down. 1-0 to Pat Cox with Grixis Death Shadow. So we'll head into game number 2, as they say in France. Clint opens up. It's a star.
Trying to be the star of the show here.
Okay, so excuse me one moment.
I'm going to get yelled at here on camera.
No, you're not going to get yelled at. I'm just going to quietly explain the concept of the knowledge and the mouth. You're the knowledge, I'm the mouth. It was all going so well.
Back to the action here. Pat Cox putting him down to 17. He's going to put himself down to 15 and go ahead and Thoughtseize Clint here. Clint's on a 6-Carter. 2 pieces of Tron here at the power plant in the tower, a Relic and an Ulamog.
Yeah.
So if Clint happens to find the mine, he does have 10 mana to turn that Ulamog on. So I think if Pat Cox has an Inquisition in hand, he should probably just take the Ulamog, as like that's the most likely scenario I see him losing the game.
Okay.
Unless, of course, he's working with something like, okay, I have a turn 2 Gurmag Angler or a turn 2 Tassiger, then he's probably just going to take the Relic of Progenitus and try to brick this Ulamog for a few more turns.
Yeah, he takes the Relic. How big a deal in general is Relic against a Death Shadow deck? Is the Graveyard a really big deal for them?
So the Graveyard is a very big deal for Grixis Death Shadow, but I think Relic's among like one of the weaker sort of answers to them.
Because it's so slow,
it's
unless it actually does the whole thing.
Correct, unless you're willing to sacrifice it, at which point it's much less effective, right? Like you want to spend as many turns as you can exiling for 1 and hold on to it as long as possible before you crack the whole graveyards. The problem is then Grixis Death Shadow is just like, okay, I'll Thoughtseize myself, fill it back up for my Snapcaster Mage or my Gurmag Angler or my Tassiger, and you're sort of back where you started.
Yeah, to be fair, obviously you wouldn't know this, but our previous round, I was watching with Zach Elsick, and we saw Matt Nass playing, and that exact scenario happened. There was a Relic of Regenesis on the other side. He was trying to take 1 card a turn. Matt was just, I'm going to fill my graveyard again. Okay, eventually you have to sacrifice your Relic and get rid of it all, and a turn and a bit later, there were another 7 cards in the graveyard, and off it went again.
Yeah, it's one of the things. The graveyard decks are very effective at continuing to fuel their graveyard. I think the way that we used to build them as players maybe 3 years back was, okay, I'm just going to be all in on doing this one thing as quickly as possible. And now they're much more resilient. They're much more built with the mindset of, how am I going to fight through Relic, Nile Spellbomb? But they're still not as effective as fighting through things like Rest in Peace, Leyline of the Void, and sometimes even Surgical Extraction.
Mm-hmm. Where can I find Corey's current Grixis list? Someone knows. Well, I'm looking at one off to my right now, but I'm not sure that will really help you, Trooper.
I can promise to put it on Twitter later.
There we go. Ask, and apparently you shall receive, Trooper. When he says later, he means 2026.
No, so I did record the version of Grixis last week, and it did not go very well.
Okay.
But yeah, this list is a lot different than the one that I recorded with, and I'll have it up at least by the end of the tournament, but hopefully probably by round 12, round 13, knock on wood, everything's still going well.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Thoughtseize time. So let's take a look at 2 Tron pieces, the Oblivion Stone, the very, very pretty Oblivion Stone, and an Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, which is once again going to get sent away. So Pat is down to 6. The deck is meant to use it life as a resource, and that's certainly what's happening here. And this is where we get to see where the young Pyromancer is going to spew out a bajillion, technical mathematical expression, number of tokens and get the job done. Best guess from right now, do you see young Pyromancer going the distance here, or is this a different phase of the game as we see Khan coming down?
Well, I thought I was going to get Oblivion Stone, and now I'm... Ooh. All right, well, I don't know actually if you'd prefer the Karn to get Ceremonious Rejection there or the O-Stone to get Ceremonious Rejection there, but I think Clint's pretty happy to have drawn a Karn regardless. And, you know, still really needs like a Worm Coil engine, something of that nature where we can get through Stubborn Denial if Pat happens to have one of the Delve threats, a Death Shadow, is that'll turn on the Ferocious ability there. As Clint has 10 mana here, he can play O-Stone and immediately sacrifice it to, you know, blow up the world, as we like to say, but, you know, has to get that thing onto the battlefield first, and that's no simple task here against Grixis Death Shadow once they've thought seized away and picked away at your hand.
So Death Shadow untaps, Young Pyromancer +3 right now. Clint at 18. Pat starting to run out of wiggle room for various lands going to the graveyard and various things getting cycled as he sends in the team. So 5, Clint will go to 13. Who's in the booth with Rich right now? Steinfeld91 asks. It is Corey Burkhart here, who is currently at 5-0, won his feature match with Grixis Control over a burn deck, which is traditionally a pretty tough matchup for Corey, but he got the job done. And now he's giving us his break before round number 6 to talk us through Tron against Grixis Death Shadow.
One of the lesser-known plays here where Grixis Death Shadow actually has basics in its deck and sometimes wants to get to 4 mana. Pat's going to fetch him a basic going down to 2.
Yeah, because being down to 0 would be bad.
Yeah, it'd be less than optimal. Should be pretty safe, though. I don't expect Black-Green Tron to have Collective Brutalities coming in this matchup to, you know, drain him for 2 points there with one of its modes. Pat's deep in the tank here. It makes me wonder if he's considering, like, should I even play this Tasigur, potentially get it O-Stoned? Like, it's not actually turning the clock 1 extra turn. Like, he's not actually going to kill Clint a turn faster if he's able to deploy 2 spells here on end step, because he needs to play 2 spells to get 7 power on the battlefield. With only 5 right now, he needs 3 turns to kill Clint. So I'm guessing that's what Pat took that amount of time thinking about. I would expect him to have a Stubborn Denial here, and he's just going to immediately throw out at this Oblivion Stone. So I think Clint's going to need 1 good draw here.
Well, 3 cards. We know there's a Tron piece there. Looks
like a map to me. Maybe I'm wrong.
So here's Oblivion Stone. The Tasigur did come down, and here's Stubborn Denial from Pat Cox. More pressure from the young Pyromancer. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 sitting on the battlefield right now for Cox. Oh, no, 5, 7, 8, 11. 11, that's... No, it is 10.
It was 10,
It
yeah.
was 10.
I was going to say.
Right the first time.
Right,
Binary either way.
Yeah.
1, 0, 1, 1. I mean...
How many turns does Clint have to survive? That's all at the end of the day we really care about. Whereas
is it 0
try to
or
get,
is it 1?
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we'll try to get the number on camera right for everybody at home, but... Wow, I wonder if Clint really did bring in like something like Collective Brutality. If he's Expedition mapping up a black-green here, maybe that's just to enable something like Ancient Stirrings while also giving him access to black mana.
So Pat, with all the glory on the battlefield right now, trying to get it done, is this potentially the last turn? Pat could just reach out, have a burn spell maybe?
Yeah, you could totally have a Lightning Bolt here. It's not unreasonable to play Lightning Bolt in your Shadow deck at all. I've definitely seen people point Lightning Bolt at themselves from time to time with that deck, which is not not the normal place you're usually pointing it, but if it pumps up multiple Death Shadows, you can certainly do that.
Yeah. So in comes the huge team from Pat. Clint very definitely into the Last Chance Saloon.
All right, Clint, you need like an Ugin, an Oblivion Stone. 5, Thragtusk? All right.
Yeah, how good is that? Did you play with Thragtusk or did you play against Thragtusk in general?
So it depended on the period of time. I played Jeskai for a little bit, but then once the Angel of Serenity sort of and Burial Rites deck started popping up, I was like, all right, I'll join the Thragtusk team. Is casting some Sweet Angels is definitely something I love doing.
I have some fantastic news for those of you who like more live Magic, because this is our Time Warp match, which is almost done, and I am watching players out in front of me head for pairings boards, which means we are not far away from round number 6. We're also not far away from the end of this match.
I was going to say, at the end of the day here, I think that's 10 points of damage coming through on Clint. And
yep. Surtma at Surthurt spells. Spell Smash.
Oh.
How hard can it be?
I didn't know this was a spelling game. I thought I was playing Magic today.
Welcome back to the booth. That was Time Warp with the pros. Rich Hagen alongside